latest on James Maddison's injury?
Yeah, Matt has trained today, unrestricted, so see how he pulls up, but at this stage looks like he'll be available, but we'll assess sort of how he feels, but trained.
Last week you spoke about the need to trim down the squad. Since that, there's not been any major outgoings. Is it becoming more and more unlikely that you'll be able to bring players in between now and the end of the window?
Not necessarily. These kind of things are pretty fluid. They happen, pretty quickly. At the moment, I think you can see, but just doing the maths, we've got too many players in terms of when we submit our final list. So there'll be guys here who won't be on that list if nothing changes. So I'm pretty sure that'll change, and so from now till sort of the end of the window, I'm sure there'll be some movement.
Hugo Reece is still at the club, training yesterday with the first team. He was looking to leave this summer. Can you see a situation where he stays and competes with the likes of Vicario and Fraser Forster?
Well, as I said, you can't just have any number of players you want. There's a list, and it's unlikely we'll have 3 goalkeepers on our final Premier League list.
And finally for me, Richarlison, he's asked for patience from the fans after being frustrated with his own performance against Manchester United. Are you confident that he can help fill the void left by Harry Kane without directly replacing him, of course?
I don't think he was frustrated with his performance. I think he was maybe a little bit disappointed that a couple of things didn't fall his way, but I wasn't. I thought his performance was very good on the day. He actually played an important part in the way we sort of set up, and it was a real focal point for us. So, I guess with all these things, it's like anything else. People look at outcomes, and with strikers, it's just about goals and nothing else. And I'm sure Richie wants to score goals, but far more important for me is how he's contributing to our team setup. And I thought he was good last week, and from my perspective, that's the key thing. I'm sure the goals will come, but no point getting the goals if the team's not performing.
Roger.
Hi, Ange. Just a couple of games into the season, but I think most observers from the outside, there was a degree of uncertainty about what to expect from Spurs this season, particularly with the Harry Kane situation going on. A couple of games in, a couple of positive results, but like tricky fixtures. Have you sensed a feel-good factor and what perhaps a win against Manchester United brings around the place?
Look, I think it's fair to say that, and again, I don't come in with any sort of knowledge or perspective on last year, but I can only work on sort of what's in front of me, and players have certainly been really receptive on what we're trying to do. The staff have been really good, the existing staff, the new staff, again, embracing kind of how we're going to work. And the games we've had so far, the support's been really positive about what we're doing. So that's all I've got to measure. But as you said, we're 2 games in, so I'm not reading too much into anything at the moment. It's more about, like I said, for me, it's about trying to establish some principles, some foundations for the team we want to be. And it always helps when there's positive outcomes early in this phase, because hopefully that just, accelerates belief more than anything else. But doesn't change the fact that we're still very much at the embryonic stage of any kind of building of a new team or new way of playing.
Your opponents this weekend are another team that are building a fresh start for them as well. Do you see people like yourself, people like Anthony Ariola, as sort of like a new challenge for the old guard in the Premier League? People who are going to come in and freshen things up with a new idea. Do you feel like you're part of something exciting at the moment?
I'm 57 years old, mate.
Well, just in terms of first experience.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the unique box people still put me in. They kind of compare me to guys who are just beginning their managerial careers, but that's fine. If I'm seen as something fresh and new and exciting, great. But look, my I've said before, okay, I get it. I've had an unusual journey that people can't get their heads around, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And what I've done always is, every role I've had is to try and bring success to the organisation I work for, the clubs I work for, and that's what I'm going to do here. And if that makes an impact beyond the football club that I work for, great, because I love that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure there's a direct comparison with my journey for many managers around the world, mate.
No, I was thinking more in terms of just new managers within the Premier League rather than age. But just on that point, there's only a couple of games in, obviously, for Bournemouth too. Not much to judge them on so far, but from your observations so far, what can you take from what you've seen?
Yeah, like I said, Andoni did a fantastic job in La Liga, tough league, and you can see that he's already trying to, imprint his own style. But I think he'd probably be the same as me in saying that, you need far more than 2 games and, a pre-season to put those imprints on your team where you know that they're sort of entrenched in there. And, they've made some signings. They've obviously, a couple of their signings are, yet to sort of make their debut. So I'm sure he's still shaping his team, but look forward to the challenge. Bournemouth away is a tough challenge. I think you already know, irrespective of going there, that there's definitely a resilience within that group, within that club, because I think for most part every pundit would have had them going down last year, and yet they ended up being a real strong opponent and competitor against everyone. So we're not under no illusions the challenge of playing them on their home ground. So looking forward to that, because it'll test us and kind of where we're at the moment.
Sam.
Hi, Ange. Just on James Maddison, if he wasn't to be available, in terms of a replacement for him, are you happy sort of in your system with the players you've got being very, very fluid? I don't know, Son or Richarlison sort of dropping deep and playing that role, or do you kind of look for a specific player to come in and be a specific replacement in that kind of number 10 role in your system?
No, I think the kind of way I set up my teams I always have is it's never a kind of a like for like replacement in anything we do, because I just think you're kind of fixed into one way of playing, and I think every player brings their own qualities to an existing structure. It makes you less predictable. So if Matters wasn't to play, then we've got guys like in the midfield, Pierre and Gio and Skippy, who can fill that role their own way, and I don't think it would affect us as a team. Hopefully, again, just with the disclaimer that we're still very early in this phase of building a team, but ideally that's what you want going forward, that if somebody misses out, doesn't mean we need a like-for-like replacement. It's the same with the wingers, same with the defenders, the strikers. I like players who bring something different, because it allows you to have flexibility within a fairly defined structure.
Someone that came into the team last week was Sar in midfield, obviously scored and had a great game. Sort of him and Basuma in that middle of the park, you've obviously got a Bentancur to come back in. How pleased are you with the options you've got in that midfield, and certainly the strength and depth? Yeah,
so far so good. Yeah, like I said, Biss and Pape have been, really good. They were here pretty much from when I arrived. A lot of the other guys were away on international duty, so those 2 guys were here pretty much from the start. And the boys had a good energy about them. But Skippy's been good whenever he's played for us, and he brings the same kind of energy. I thought Pierre was really good coming on the weekend. Gio's been a bit unlucky, hasn't got any game time, but again, been really impressed. So, and we're going to need it. Again, we're 2 games into a long season. We've already seen other clubs having to sort of cope with injuries. I'm sure, at some point that's going to hit us. So we're going to need a strong squad. We've got 3 games next week, so 3 away games. So, we're definitely going to use just about everyone in the squad through that week. So it's important to know that they're ready to go.
And last week in this press conference, we spoke for about 15 minutes about your love for podcasts and Peter, Andre and Kylie Minogue. Have you given anything else to try over the last week, or did you just talk football, no time for podcasts, Ange?
I'm not your weekly reviewer or recommender. Mate, do your own research, mate.
Yeah. You used to be though. It was so good last week.
No, that's you can offer something to me. No, it's fair to say that this week and probably next week. Most of my time on the road will be spent probably talking to someone with everything that's going on.
Maybe do an international break.
I'll do my best, mate.
Ali?
Can I just ask you exactly what was the problem with James Maddison?
It was just, I think it was an incident with, I think when Romero got brought down and then he had a shot and it was kind of a block tackle, so his ankle was a bit sore after that. So, the medical team sort of looked after him. Obviously people see him in a moon boot and think that something serious, but there was more precautionary and we've been pretty careful with him. There was no real push to have him available, or kind of left it up to him, but he's felt really good. Probably could have trained yesterday, but the medical team kind of wanted to run him through and just make sure he was okay. But like I said, he trained today unrestricted, so it just depends how he pulls up. But obviously nothing serious.
A player I want to ask you about, played well at the weekend, Pedro Porro. There were some doubts outside the club that maybe about him fitting into a right-back role rather than a wing-back role, and also the defensive kind of things he'd need to do in that. Do you feel like this was a performance that dispelled some of that?
Again, I'd be reticent to read stuff that's kind of, all-encompassing after one or two games about anybody, whether that's Pedro or us as a team. He performed well last week. He's performed well through his pre-season. I really like him as a player. I think, as a fullback, he's got some really good attributes for the way we want to play. He's very mobile. He's good technically. He covers the ground well, and his instincts are pretty good, both with and without the ball. But he's 23, so we've got a pretty young, apart from Romero, young sort of back four at the moment. And even Emerson's in a similar boat. I think they'll develop as we go along. But both of them, all our fullbacks at the moment have found a real willingness to be open-minded, because it's fair to say the demands of our system on fullbacks is a bit different to others. So you need players who are kind of open-minded enough to want to take that information in, and I think all the boys playing those positions at the moment are really keen to keep exploring kind of the way we play.
Here and last season and previous seasons, he's used to being starting every single game. He was part of the leadership group. Now, obviously, he's only had those minutes against Man U and not part of your new leadership team. How's he kind of dealing with that? How's he coming across?
Yeah, fine. He's training well. I mean, look, I think, again, I get it that people want to sort of read things into that. It's not, when I announce a leadership group, it's not so much about, the people who are in the building are experienced don't have a role to play in that. But if you want to change, you have to change. Like, you can't just keep doing everything the same and keep everything the same and expect a different outcome. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I've always done that. Wherever I've gone, I've felt that unless I come in and actually change things, whether that's personnel or staff or manner of playing, then what am I doing? Because, I'm definitely not that arrogant to think that just me walking in is going to give us success. That's not how it works. You have to actually make meaningful change, and that's what the club wanted. I assume by appointing me, they wanted to go in a different direction, and then it's about making those decisions that institute change. But it doesn't mean that's not a reflection of anything that's happened in the past or on people in the past. It's about then, with that change, does it bring more out of people, and Pierre's in that boat. He trains really hard every day. I thought he played a really important role coming on for us against Man U the other day, and he's part of this squad, and I haven't seen any evidence that he's diminished his role or is not happy. But at the end of the day, all of them need to fight for their positions, and they need to fight every day. If we're going to be successful, that needs to happen on a daily basis. So you've got hopefully a couple of players in every position who every day are pushing themselves to be the best they can be.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.